Hi, I'm Rachel. I want to take a moment to thank everyone who liked or commented on my last video where I talked about my cat Leia's death. It meant a lot to me to have your support, so thank you. I'm not sure I'm on board yet with this whole notion of going on with my life without her, but I guess in light of time marching on, I thought I'd start to get back into the game a little of BookTube and share some of the books that I hope to be reading soon. And what do you know, Mercedes at Mercy's Bookish Musings is hosting a readathon, the Autumn Readathon, which goes from the 22nd to the 28th, I believe. And I think, with a little bit of tweaking sometimes, that I can get the books that are next on my TBR to fit her requirements. I don't actually think I'm going to get to all of these books in 1 week. In fact, that's pretty impossible for me on any given week, but if I'm also still being a little loose with things, I could say that I want to get to all of these books within the season of autumn. So there we go. So Mercy's first challenge is to read a gothic or a spooky book. This isn't usually my wheelhouse, but earlier this year I entered a LitHub giveaway for The Beast is an Animal by Peternelle van Arsdale. And it caught my eye, I think, because it's a dark fantasy fairy tale sort of feel to it, and I thought it might give me inspiration for a story idea that I've been kicking around that I thought I might do for NaNoWriMo, but I don't think I am. I think I'm going to put it off a bit. I'm not even sure how much this would fit with what I wanted to do, but I was intrigued by the description of the book, which is definitely rather spooky. I'll get to it here. Alice was 7 the first time she saw the Soul Eaters. Twin sisters, they radiated an energy that excited Alice. Through them she felt the wildness of the forest and the beast within it. Too late she learned their power to destroy. By the time she is 15, Alice knows too much about both the lore and the danger of the Soul Eaters. She lives in a world of adults who are terrified of their power and who cower behind high walls and grim rules. Fear of the Soul Eaters and of the beast rules their lives. Even more, they fear the ways in which the beast may lurk among them and within a girl like Alice. For Alice has a connection to the Soul Eaters and the beast, and she hides a truth about herself that she can reveal to no one for fear that she will be called a witch. As the threat posed by the Soul Eaters grows, Alice must undertake a journey through the wild danger of the forest. But the greatest danger is not outside her. Alice's secret about who and what she is terrifies her most of all. And in order to save her world, she must also risk losing herself. The Beast is an Animal is an eerie, compelling, wholly original tale of far-flung villages, dark woods, and creatures that hunt in the night. It's also a deeply human story about a girl finding her way in a world that is ugly and beautiful, good and bad, and discovering the same within herself. The next challenge is to read a non-fiction book that feels autumnal, and I think there's some special consideration given for memoirs. So what do you know, I have The Book of Separation here by Tova Mirvis. It's the book that I highlighted in my mid-year check-in about what I was most looking forward to in the second half of 2017. And I happily went out and bought it shortly after it came out. Tova Mirvis is one of my favorite authors, and this is her first memoir. It's been long awaited. And I think that I can make it fit the whole autumn theme, because autumn is very much about the end of one life cycle, and I guess the preparation for a new one. And this memoir is about Tova Mirvis leaving her Orthodox Jewish community and finding a new way for herself. It's also gotten a lot of buzz in the non-Jewish community, which is always very exciting to me when people outside of the tribe take notice of Jewish writings, which means hopefully that it is pretty relatable. So that's great. Very much looking forward to this. Challenge 3 is read a novel set in a cold location, and this is definitely my most stretching the line here thing. And more than that, I don't think Mercedes would approve of what I'm doing here, because I seem to remember she didn't like this book much, but it was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. It's The Wanderers by Meg Howrey. And I'm saying cold location because I know that it's about people who are attempting to ultimately get to Mars, which seems like a gold location to me, even though they're not there yet. The fourth challenge is to read a historical novel, and here I'm going for Modern Girls by Jennifer Brown. There is another novel that might technically fit this historical novel theme more that I have on my list, but it better fits another thing coming later down the pike, so I'm sticking with this for historical fiction. Because, as you'll be able to tell when I read from the back, it's historical. In 1935, Dottie Krasinski is the epitome of the modern girl. In Midtown Manhattan, Dottie steals kisses from her steady beau, meets her girlfriends for drinks, and eyes the latest fashions. Yet at her heart, she is a dutiful daughter living with her Yiddish-speaking parents on the Lower East Side. So, when after a single careless night she finds herself in the family way by a charismatic but unsuitable man, she is desperate, unwed, unsure, and running out of options. After the birth of 5 children and 20 years on as a housewife, Dottie's immigrant mother Rose is itching to return to the social activism she embraced as a young woman. With strikes and breadlines at home and National Socialism rising in Europe, there is much more important work to do than cooking and cleaning. So when she realizes that she too is pregnant, she struggles to reconcile her longings with her faith. As a mother and daughter wrestle with unthinkable choices, they are forced to confront their beliefs, the changing world, and the fact that their lives will never again be the same. And finally, we get to the bonus prompts, the first of which is read a short story collection. I'm pretty embarrassed by this one. I put it on my channel, I think, for one of my weekly reading updates several months ago, or at least a month ago, and it is the collected stories of Fannie Hurst, and I put it on my reading list on Goodreads, my currently reading list, and I haven't read anything but the first story. So I definitely want to get to all of the stories sometime before the end of autumn. Here's a new incentive as to why I should get to these stories sooner rather than later. I recently got this in the mail. It is the brochure for this year's DC Jewish Musical Festival, which takes place next month. And one of the offerings is a silent film screening with live music. It's a film made in the 1920s, and it's based on one of Fannie Hurst's stories. So it's like a melding of all things, of stories I should be reading, and current day music, and old films. I remember once, several years ago, I went to, I think it was a live music film for the silent film for Nosferatu, I think it was, and you know, there was live music within the theater, and it was just so much fun, and very intrigued to go to this, so I know I'm going to go to this either way. Hopefully, maybe I'll read the short story first. And the final bonus prompt is read an adult novel about a young female protagonist. So this book, The Tumbling Turner Sisters by Juliette Frey, and also Modern Girls, which I showed a little earlier, are both part of my personal 2016 Jewish fiction reads. And this one, amazingly, I think fits the requirements of Mercy's prompt. I'll explain a little while I explain the plot from the flap. In 1919, the Turner sisters and their parents are barely scraping by. And their father, a low-paid bootmaker in Johnson City, New York, crushes his hand and can no longer work. Their irrepressible mother, Ethel, decides that the vaudeville stage is the family's best chance to make rent and build a more exciting life for herself in the bargain. With so much at stake, teenagers Gert, Winnie, and Kit, recent widow Nell and her infant son, and newly minted stage mother Ethel take the Tumbling Turner Sisters acrobatic act on the road. Polished professionals they are not, but as their shrewd agent bluntly tells them, pretty girls and short skirts sells, even if you're up there laying bricks. It's not long before the Turners discover a new kind of freedom amid the company of performers who are as diverse as their acts. From the past their prime Jewish comedians, to the conniving French singer, to the black tap dancer who inspires a love the world won't allow, each character the Turners meet as they travel from town to town has something invaluable to impart about the finer skills of vaudeville and life. The business has a seamy side, however, as the girls face dangers and twists of fate they could never have anticipated, the new lives they fought so hard for hang in the balance. Told in turn by shy Winnie and headstrong Gert, the Tumbling Turner Sisters is ultimately a story of awakening to unexpected possibilities, to love and heartbreak, and to the dawn of a new American era. And as a final teaser, look at these end papers of vaudeville ladies. And over here you get some more. So that about covers it for me. I tried to frame my video along the eerie setting of the sun and darkening of the sky behind me. So I'm curious about anyone else who's taking part in this readathon. I've been happily searching for and watching your videos. And I'm curious about other people too who are using readathons to get back into reading, and what are you using as your excuses, and what are you reading, and are you enjoying them? I hope everyone has a great, spooky, chilly autumn. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.